All right, cool. So this particular repo, there's a link to it for well, actually it will be just Saturday, but you can find it under extra lectures here. And continuous integration with GitHub Actions. So there are a number of tools that can serve this purpose that I have just been talking about. Basically, automating your kind of code processing. But GitHub Actions it's becoming more common, and it's not like the most full-featured solution, but it's good, and it'll work for our purposes, and it's free. So and it actually is used professionally. Okay, you can read all this stuff later if you want. What I'm going to do now is kind of initially show how you would start getting stuff set up. So I'm going to assume that the code base that I'm working on for the group project is this Docker Compose app example, which I'm sure you all are tired of looking at. So I'm going to clone this down. I'm going to CD into it, and then I'm actually going to delete the, I'm going to pretend that I'm basically starting over here, that I just, locally developed stuff, and I'm going to push it up. So I'm going to cheat and do rm-rf.git. So now it is no longer a Git repository. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my personal, actually I could do it on the Delta account. I'll do it on my personal account. Why not? One more word. I'll make this public. And I'm going to do the usual stuff. So I'll get it started, git add, git, oops. I have to do git init first, git init, git add, git commit. And then I'll copy this in, the remote, git push origin master. Okay, so now if I refresh this, I have my initial repo set up. Okay, so this is just like if I had developed the code locally and I pushed up. So now I have my initial repo. Hopefully you're pushing very frequently, so you're not waiting until everything is done to push up. But anyway, so we're starting there. And I'm going to open this up in code. So okay. So the way you can make GitHub Actions work is I'm going to do a couple things first. So on my new repo, I'm going to go into settings, and I first want to lock down. I want to lock down my master branch so that I can't mess with it directly. Because whether on accident or on purpose, you don't want anyone just directly messing with the master branch. I'm going to go to, first off, I'll go to collaborators. Hey, Omar, what's your GitHub handle?
I forgot. Let me see. It's
Actually, anyone else could, if you just want to give me your, who wants to be part of the demo?
Do Pizzon.
N?
N, yeah.
Okay, so so what you would do is you would invite everyone who's on your team to the repo. So me and Nick are going to work on this together. It's a public repository. I would just leave it public. I don't think there's a good reason to make it private, and you probably also it might be nice to refer to it later. That's up to you. You can talk about that, but I'm just going to leave it public, and I can add people who are part of the team, and then I'm going to go to branches here, and here's where we can protect. We can add rules for what you can do under what conditions. So my primary branch is called master. You can call it main or whatever else you want. So this is just going to match a pattern. So just whatever your primary branch is, put that in here. And then require a pull request before merging. So you're going to want to enable that. And also this is checked by default, but require approvals. So I have one person on my team, so I'll do one. I think you could do one or two, but basically this assures that at least one other person who didn't make the commit has to look it over and give the okay before you can merge it. So I would do one or two, depending. Okay, and then I'm going to add this require status checks. And then do not allow bypassing the above settings. So just click those things. That should be fine. If you want to play around with the settings later, that's also fine. Okay, so that should be good in terms of like creating general rules for protecting your primary branch. So now I'm going to go, I can see if I click on GitHub Actions, here's the tab here, it will give you some default stuff you can start with. So there are a whole bunch of, you should probably not be writing your own actions. There's just a whole bunch of stuff for common tasks like you want to have a node environment, you want to run tests in a node environment, or you want to clone a Git repository or whatever. So there's all kinds of stuff. You can search for them. It's pretty straightforward. There's honestly, there's only like a couple of them that you'll really end up using anyway. Okay. So here we are. So I guess first thing I can do is I can test this out. I can try pushing to master, and we'll see if I am allowed to do that now. So I'm going to make a change. We'll go to the front end here. So I'll save that. You can see that I have untracked files. So git add, git commit. Excuse me. Git push origin master. Oh no, I can't do that. So that's good. I shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be developing on master anyway. So I have to be a good boy and create a development branch. So git checkout -b, and I'm going to call update h1. So this is my branch name. Now I have a new branch, so I can push to that branch instead. So git push origin update h1. And I can go here to my repo. And I can get something. If that doesn't show up, you can go to pull requests, but here we go. So I'm going to create a pull request. Okay. And you can see here that I have a pull request, but I need a review. So maybe my teammate could take a look at my code. So the way you would do that is you can go under files. Let me give you a link to the repo just for ease. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can you see the repo? So if you go to pull requests, and then you can
I'm in it.
okay, cool. Click on the relevant pull request, and then oh, nice. Okay. So he just reviewed it right there. You could also, just to show how you could do that, you can go here under files change, and you can see everything that's changed. You can add, if you just want to add a comment like this sucks. You should be very polite, professional. So this could indicate a review, and then you can also just leave comments, but here's where you go. You click here, whatever it says here, and then comment. You can also approve. So I can't approve because it's my own pull request, and I have one of those options. Basically, not allowed to override the settings. That's partly what that does. Okay. Okay. So I have an approval. So now I'm allowed to merge the pull request. So I'll merge the pull request. And I can see that my code has been updated. So my master branch is now updated. So now I'm going to go here. I want to work on something else. What do I do? Well, first I go back, git checkout master. And then I want to, my local version of master is now out of sync with my remote. So what's on GitHub is your source of truth. So my local master is out of date, so I need to update it, and I do git pull. You can just do git pull or git pull origin master, depending on what branch. So let's see, I'm going to do git pull origin master. Okay, and now I see I have the two Z's here. So now I'm up to date with what's currently on the master branch. So now I want to create a new feature. So now I'm going to create a new branch. So git, not there, git checkout -b and start GH actions. So I'm going to create a new branch. The name doesn't really matter, but it's, you might as well give it a reasonably descriptive name of what you're trying to accomplish. And so I'm gonna start adding the GitHub actions. And the way you add an action is you create a folder at the root of your project called .github. So .github, and then under that will be a workflows folder. So I'm gonna create folder, so mkdir.github. I can see that right there. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a folder called workflows. And then in there, I'm going to have a YAML file, which is going to describe what the workflow is. You can call it whatever you want. I'll just call it dev workflow. All right, and then I'm going to skip basically a bunch of this other stuff here and cut to the chase. Actually, so this is a convenience. So I'll describe what's happening here in a second, but I'm going to make this short. It's a video, so you can rewatch it if you need to or ask me questions. So I'm going to add this. This is a convenience. We'll see why this is convenient in a second. I'm going to add run compose. Not there. Okay, and then this is where all the action is here. So I'll copy this. Okay, so what is happening here? You thought you were done with YAML, but you're not. You're never done with YAML. So here is a name, and then this block right here on. These are the conditions. So you can think of this like in event, right? So you're listening for an event. GitHub Actions is listening for an event. What are the events? Well, a push event, and a pull request. There's two different events, and a push request. Well, what kind of push request? A push request to the master branch. It's going to listen for a pull request, also against the master branch. So you can, add other branches or whatever, but this should basically be fine. So anytime someone pushes or makes a pull request against master, all of this other stuff is going to run. And what is this other stuff? Jobs. So these are all jobs. And an individual job, so there are there are 1, 2, 3 jobs. And they have names. These are arbitrary names. React-tests. This one is Django tests, and this one is run compose. You can probably guess what each one of them does. You have to specify a few things. Just like a Docker file, you give it a base image. So that's what this is here. We're just running on Ubuntu latest. That should meet all of your needs. You're gonna run it on Ubuntu latest. This is the operating system. And then the steps, these are the kind of specific, actions or things that are gonna happen. So right here, you don't need to like memorize all this syntax. You can usually just look stuff up. So all we're doing here is we're going to basically build our React project and then run the tests. So that's really all we're doing right there. Same with Django. We're just gonna, build the project, install everything, and run the tests. And then for compose, all we're gonna do is like run compose, and then stop it. So if the tests run, if the project can build and the tests run and there are no errors or failures, it's good. Same thing with the Django tests. If it builds and there are no errors, it's good. And with run compose, there are no tests, but if it, spins up without any errors, then you're good. And then the specifics here. So this is a pre-built thing. I'm not, I didn't invent this or make this. I just looked for, I would like to run a node project on GitHub Actions and set up node version 3. Very nice. Follow the documentation. I tell it what version. You can be more specific here. I just said LTS, which is the what is it? Long-term. Anyway, it's like the stable version. Yeah, stable. And then here the command. This is just like a bash command basically. And this underneath it, the working directory, I'm telling it this is kind of like workdir in a Docker file. I'm saying start from here and then execute this command, assuming that you're here. So our project, the way it's structured, you go into front end and then you have access to the package.json. So once you're in the front end, run npm CI. Once you're in the front end, run build. And then once you're in the front end, run npm test. So it's going to install everything, it's going to build it, and it's going to test it. Django tests, same thing. You have slightly different variation because so this is another action checkout. So this is just going to check out your code. You're pretty much going to include this in anything that you do. So you will check out your code. You're going to set up Python 4. And you're telling it, you're specifying it, what version of Python. You can change this. You can also, test with multiple versions of Python, stuff like that. And then you're going to do the same kind of boring thing. You're going to, assuming we're starting from the backend folder, run pip install requirements.txt. Assuming we're starting from the backend folder, run the tests. And then with run compose, so we're saying that this needs means basically don't even bother running this one unless these pass. So these two will run. If they pass, then we can go ahead and run compose here. Same thing. Excuse me. So we're calling this one start containers. This one's a little different because we're just executing a script, which is right here. And the reason I added the script is because you need to spin it down. Otherwise, it'll just run forever. If you spin it up and it doesn't fail, it'll just run forever. So we don't want that. We want to spin it up and then shut it down basically immediately after. And then we just have this kind of as a backstop. but that's pretty much it. You can this is, you know, this is great. If you have this, then you are good to go. If you want to do all kinds of other crazy stuff, you can, feel free. But that's the idea. Okay, so we have this added now. So I should be on my start GitHub Actions branch. So git add, git commit, git push origin. All right. So I've pushed up here. I see I get my auto PR thing. And I'm going to create a pull request. And I'm going to, so this is starting now. You get, excuse me. So this stuff has to run, and you can check in here. So these are the actions that are going to run, and I'll just click on details so we can kind of see what's happening. So these are the actions that are running. You can look at the logs here. So this is, I don't know if any of this stuff might look familiar to you shortly, but so it's going to run all this stuff. So the Django test passed already, in part because there are actually no tests. React, I just have the one default test, but you will, of course, write unit tests to avoid last-minute headaches. Okay, so this runs up. We have a failing test. Okay, so we have a failing test. We can look at the logs here. So let's go back to our code. I'm gonna refresh this. So I can see the output. So one, I need a review. Two, I have some failures in my test. So my PR is not looking great right now. So the Django test passed. This one didn't even run because it's dependent on these two passing. So where's the failure? I see there's a failure. We can go click on the details. Go look at it. It shows me the error here. You can take a look. You can read the logs and you can see the error message, which is blah, 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 get by text, learn React. So that's a failure. So I'm going to go make my test pass, rewrite my code, do whatever. Go into the test, and I'm going to make this pass. Wines, I know that that word is in my front end. So git status, okay, git add, git commit, fix unit test, git push. So I'm going to go back here. I'll refresh this. I can see my new PR here, and these should rerun. So you can, you know, if you want to like watch the paint dry, you can go over here. So the Django tests are good. You can see all of the stuff it's installing. Manage.py tests, there are no tests, etc. We'll go to the React tests here. This will take a minute, and then of course the Docker Compose will also take a couple minutes to do. So this is not, you know, not instant. Okay, good, pass the test. Hopefully this will, okay, so these two passed, and because these two passed, just looking again at the dev workflow. So my run compose depends on these two. So when these two pass, this one kicks off, and this one actually failed. So permission denied. So who wants to tell me what this error is caused by?
Is that where you have to do chmod to the file itself?
Yep, exactly. So our this script that we just added, doesn't have the permission, so I can do ls dash la, and where's that script right here? So this run compose dev that I just added doesn't have execute permission right here. So we have to add that. So I'm going to do chmod 755 run compose dev ci. Now I will make another commit, git add git commit dash m fix terms, and then push it up. And once again, don't commit secrets. Very good. Yeah, that's a good catch. Yeah, I haven't looked at everyone's repo, but I saw a number of PEM files and yeah, secrets that shouldn't be in there.
I actually got an email from Git Guardian.
Yeah.
It tells you have a secret exposed in your repo.
That's good, but you don't want to rely on that. And there are people, that crawl GitHub looking for stuff like that. I don't think it's I think pretty, what do you call it? Pretty low stakes for these projects, but still, it's good practice. Any questions about this while we wait for this to run? So this should all pass now, so we can just look at it. So you can either go to GitHub Actions like directly to this link. You can also just go up here, the Actions tab, and it'll give you a more general overview. You can see previous runs. Here's the current run. And you get a slightly different view. You can see the kind of causal relationship. Run these two. These two can run in parallel because they're not dependent on each other. This other one is dependent on both of these passing. So you can look at the run compose now. So this will take, I think, like 2 minutes or something, probably. So this is up, and the script should kill it in a couple seconds. Let's see. Good. Stop running now. Let me check the. Let me just kill this manually. Sorry, I think it probably specify the wrong name or something. So I'm going to cancel this because it'll just run forever. You don't want that. So I have my script here. I'm going to check out the dev workflow. Right. So run compose dev ci.sh. That looks correct. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Let me try it one more time. Could have been this. I don't think so. Run compose dev ci. All right, let's see. If anyone sees anything obvious, let me know. Go back to the pull requests. All right. Okay. I could also review that. I could approve it. All right. So I'm going to go back to the actions tab and check this out. Any questions?
I'll probably have some in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, hopefully in a few days. I'm hoping that people will learn some lessons from the personal project.
Yeah, I have like over 50 something commits, so I definitely commit frequently and often.
Yeah, that's good.
Would you already have this stuff locally, like your front end and back end and like all this Docker Compose already?
Well, so I mean, I created that template as a template, like a starting template, which you could basically start with, and then make modifications to as you need. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you, but it's there as a convenience, and there are certain problems that it solves for you. So, but yeah, you don't have to follow that template, but you do have to have it deployed. And if you do it this way, it's much easier to make sure everything runs properly. Once you get in a rhythm of deploying, it's easy. It's very easy to deploy and redeploy and make a change and then deploy. It's like like a 5-minute life cycle. Okay, so that passed that time. So I just need to update the README with that. So now all of the GitHub actions pass. Let me go back to the pull request. Now I have a green check mark there. Basically, I'm in the clear. Did I get an approval? Let me see. I'm going to re-request a review from my teammate. That should send him an email. Oh, he approved it. Okay, so he's approved it. All the tests are, all the checks are passing. So now I'm gonna merge it. We can go here. And then here is my code. And this will also build while in the master branch. It should be fine if it passed there, but it's kind of just like for the sake of propriety thing. And you can also, it's a double check. You can see, did you do something and it messed something up? But that's basically it.
So with this, we should
Again,
be doing.
So I just real quick. So I just want to say the template. Where's this Docker Compose app template, which I would basically suggest you use by default unless you have a better idea. You can start from this, and you can just start with you create your React project and just plop it in there. You create a Django project and plop it in there, and then if you as you need to change things, you can change them, but this should all basically work from the get-go, and then you can update, tweak things as you need to. And then this GitHub Actions example is also based on that, but you don't have to use any of that stuff, but this is just like I'm providing you with infrastructure that's basically ready to go. Okay, that's what I want to say. So Tiffany, go ahead.
So for these, we're going to be working on a separate branch, doing the pull requests, and then it gets merged into the master, correct? And then,
Yep.
So when we start doing something new, we need to pull down from the master the updated.
Exactly. So as example, I just submitted a pull request and I'm done with my branch now. So it's been merged. So now I'm ready to work on a new feature. So I don't just start like writing code now again. I say, okay, I'm going to write a new feature. This branch is done. So I'm going to git, check out, master. I go back to master. Now, unfortunately, master doesn't have my local version of master is not the most recent up-to-date. It doesn't reflect the current state of the application. So I have to update it. And you do that with pull, git, pull, origin, master. So now my local master matches my remote master. And from there, I can now check out a new branch. So git checkout -b, whatever development branch. You work on it, you submit a PR, you push up that branch, that feature branch, and then you make a PR from that feature branch against the master branch. So that's the pattern that you're going to do, hopefully over and over again.
Is there a recommended amount of changes you should make for each branch, like what you work on? Do you do like just one tiny component, or do you build a full back end and submit it?
Ideally, the smaller the better, basically. Within reason, it's kind of like functions. Like, should you have a 500 line function? Probably not. Should one PR be like, completely obliterating and rewriting everything in the repo? Probably not. Do you want like to make one PR every time you fix a period or something? No, but basically, I would suggest, especially based on what I know about myself and other people in your situation and what I've seen from the personal projects, is you should err on the side of pushing more. You are almost certainly not pushing enough. So create branches and push and merge them often. You can, if you do it in small chunks, if you have everything set up, you have good unit tests and everything else, then whatever is on your main branch should be deployable as is. You should just say, whatever is on my main branch, I can deploy that. So at any time, you can take what's on your master branch and create an EC2 instance and run Docker Compose in it. So that's the idea.
So by the time you're done with the group project, you're gonna have possibly hundreds of commits and maybe nearly as much as branches.
Yeah, I would say that you're gonna have probably, hopefully, many commits per branch.
Oh yeah, I see.
So you create a branch, which would be like, for example, create the models, maybe something like that. So it's kind of a new project. You're starting, so let's create them, or at least start like initial models. So you go into your backend, you create a branch, you call it, create models, and then you go here. Sorry. And you add, let's just say you add a model and you're like, okay, this is good. So you commit it. It's something that works. So you don't want to just commit every time you write a line. But once you get like a chunk of something that works, basically, that looks like it works, then you would make a commit and push up that commit. And then if I wanted to create another model, for example, like a class users, I would do that one. And then once that is working, you can push up another commit. So if you're pushing up stuff frequently, it kind of forces you to like think and work in small chunks. So you're not just like, okay, I'm gonna change 30 things that are stretched all across the app, and it just becomes a giant mess. So it forces you to think kind of modularly about what you're doing, and it also gives you an easy way to backtrack. So you're not like, for example, I haven't committed in a week and I dropped my computer down the stairs. So if something happens, you lose like 20 minutes of work. So I wouldn't. The short answer is I wouldn't suggest like any hard and fast rules, but I would just commit more often than you think you need to, and you can see how that goes and make adjustments from there. All right, I will stop here.